And we're back. One of the things I didn't do at the end of the last tutorial, and I can't believe I didn't do it, is show you at full screen view. I was zoomed in. When I go back out to full screen view on this, you'll realize, hey, this is a large setup. Everything is working just right. Now, things are tight. Things are close. We're going to have to spread stuff out a little bit. We'll deal with that in just a moment. We'll also do some of the styling, but we're going to wait. We're still working on the grid. So let's fill out our grid to make it look more like this and less like this. So our focus is on the HTML. We have our columns set to go. Zoom out just a little bit. Here we go. And move that up. Okay. Okay, let's take a look and see what that's looking like at this point. Alright, we have a really interesting thing going on here with this one being higher than that one. Not entirely sure what's up with that, so maybe there's something. We haven't put our media right inside. So, let's not forget a href. Let's see what it's looking like now. There we go. And the header's still down a little bit too low. There is a reason for that. Let's find out what's going on. Many times it could be due to an error. Oh, media header, not media heading. That looks more like it. A little bit tight. Each of our grids, not a lot of gutter space among them. Not a lot of other styles going on, but we're pretty good on there. Now, this took us a while to build out. We're already 5.5 minutes in. Let's go ahead and cheat a little bit. We're going to copy and paste. Now, with this last div, what we want to do is we already have a column of large 4. What I'm thinking about doing here is making it so on a full screen, it's each one is on top of the other, like you see on here, one on top of the other. However, when we go more narrow, what's going to happen is I'm not going to like this. It's going to get really tight if it's here. If it's, well, actually, let me just show you what happens when we go narrow. It doesn't take much. When we get a little bit more narrow, this becomes full screen. And let's not even talk about the lack of margins and the problems there, but let's look at how wide these paragraphs are. At this point, we could still have 2 columns here, side by side. And so what we're going to do is we're going to really mix up our grids, and we're going to do some playing with the columns for different sizes. Now, we started with large, so we're going to do that. We're going to work our way down. And so on the next one, to keep this here, I'm going to add one little feature here. Well, actually, before we do that, let's just drop 2 media bodies in. So notice when I'm copying, actually I have to copy the whole tag of class of media right in there. I'm going to copy the whole thing, and I'm going to paste it in here twice. We want to double check our spacing and our tabs, make sure that they're tabbed over normally. This was the media right, that's for that. Let's paste it again. Now let's just take a look at it full screen and see what's happening. Well, we do have a problem here. What did I do wrong? There should be one on top of the other. We have a hyperlink issue. Okay, we have a problem with our hyperlinks. This happens sometimes. Yeah, we never closed our link over here. We never closed it over here. See if that helps anything. Still not seeing the other one. There's still a link. We still have an issue going on here. So let's figure out what's going on. We're just going to collapse these as we go. We don't need to see all of that. We don't need to see all of this. That was working okay. Column large 4 inside a class of media. Inside here, div of the class of media body. Div of the class of media right. That's closed. Div of the class of media. Media body. Media right. I think there's our problem. This div was closed inappropriately. Sometimes it helps to just sort of collapse those. So when we collapse all the class of media on both of these, there should be 2 here. Okay, yes, we do still have a problem. Let's see if that's helping at all. There it is. Still the hyperlink. We got to fix that hyperlink. Everything's a hyperlink up here. There it is. I spotted it right here. Problem with copy and paste is that can create more errors. Now it's not a link. Now we're going to just swap out this text into new ones. And if you look at here, there isn't an image, so I'll pull the image out. In fact, that doesn't have to even be a media body. And then there's a different one there. So we'll go ahead and change that. We'll make that image a little smaller too. All right, I spent a little time coding this out. You didn't need to see me doing it. I mixed it up a little bit. Got some pictures in here. You scroll down on the right. This is a little bit too big, so I'm thinking of moving this over to one of the other ones just for space-wise. So let me do that real quick, and I'll show you back. I basically just did copy and paste and fixed where there were some errors. One other thing you should know is that on the one where I didn't have the media object, my header didn't look right. So I had to just add a class of media heading. And when I did, it made a little bit smaller, and it works. So that's pretty good. Let me just switch these two, the one here and the It's a Trap, or with the one on the left. So I'll do that and come back. I think the best way to do this, though, is to basically collapse the whole media thing, copy it that way. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to go up here in the first one. That was the Star Wars one. Paste that there. Collapse this one. Copy all of it. Hold on. There. Okay, fine. This is what I hate, because I can't remember if that's all of it. Think so. Cut. Scroll down to the last div, class of media. Paste. Double check. Okay. I switched up the buttons a little bit. I think the one on the far right, I'm going to change this to, on the button info, default. It's a little bit, doesn't stand out as much by our product, see? And then I'll change the Marry Me one. That was from Arrested Development into info here. And now, here's what it looks like. And we're about ready for the next step, which is to adjust the way the grid works. So in order to do that, we don't have to change the HTML. We just have to change our classes in it. So when we go a little bit smaller, you'll see how wide that is. So when we're in the medium to small range, I want them side by side. So what we'll do is we'll play around with these divs. When I collapse them, I realize I do have an error. This div got deleted. So I want to go to the end of that div, hit enter, and close that div. And I figured that out by counting it. So there's a wrapper page and then a class of row. Class of row ends here, page ends there. So as you look at these in column 4, large 4, when we get smaller to medium, let's make Now you see there's 3 of them here, but if you count the other 2, those are 4. So I like them all to be sort of side by side. So since we have 4 in all, if we make them all just the right way, we can do this. So call, and we'll do an MD6, so a medium 6. We'll do the same thing here. Call MD6. Now we have a problem here. The problem is we got this column LG4, but we've wrapped 2 inside so they could go one on top of the other. So what we need to do here is on the medium, we'll make this an MD of 12. So that takes the full screen. But then these 2 now have to be inside of, these have to be turned into a grid. So what we do is we add the class of row. And that turns these 2 into grids, which means now we have to add a class of call MD6. And then on this one, we already had a class of media, but we'll just add call and actually, no, we'll do what we did before, which is surround that all in a div. MD6, that is. Close the div there, or finish that opening div, close it here. All right, we have a class of row holds everything in. Inside that class of row, we have column large 4, so that's a third on a large size, but it's a half of the screen on a small size. Then this one also is 6, so that's the other half of the screen. That takes up a full width. So this one now we give it on medium 12, so on the medium size that takes up the full screen. We add row, which allows us to apply this grid here, which allows us now to have 2 columns with the medium of 6. And let's see how this works out on full screen and on medium size. And already I see looks like there's a problem with my code over here. Okay, I figured it out. Here's my mistake. Remember we did this column large 4, column medium 12. Well, when I added column media 6, that's for medium size and larger. So I have to make sure I also set a column of large 12. Do the same thing here. So that becomes full width inside the row on the full size. Let's see if that fixed it. There we go. Okay, barring the little issues with the having everything too tight close together, and we can play with that in just a little bit. Now everything's looking right, so we go a little bit smaller, and when we're on a medium size, notice we've got one here, a column here, column here, column here. So all 4 seem to line up. We can also go, at this point, maybe even we should change all those mediums to smalls, because it's not until we're about here that it starts looking presentable, shall we say. So we're just going to go through all of those and change all of the MDs to SM. So we just got to go through that. So instead of medium 6, it's small 6. And go to the next one, SM for small, SM, SM. Just going to do across the board. Let's see if that works. Here's small, a little bit bigger. Now I got 2 columns. Yeah, so it's much tighter here. Now, a lot of this design, we're still not done. I mean, there's a lot more we need to look at. I don't like the fact that this is tabbed over more than that one is. Not entirely sure what's going on there. So there's still some adjustments we're going to have to make. But I think at this point, you got the general idea of the grid, and it works at 2 different layouts. On our next tutorial, we'll just clean up with CSS, try to make it even look more like the tutorial we were doing before. Thank you for watching.